What's up, guys? This is Adam from 1010 Talk, and welcome to another episode. So today we are doing, I wouldn't say a deep dive, maybe a shallow dive, comparison between one iconic diver in two iterations. We are going head-to-head with the modern ceramic SmpC Seamaster Professional versus the original OG Bond Seamaster from the 90s. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so this is a big head-to-head matchup here. The modern day Seamaster Professional with the ceramic bezel versus the quintessential Bond watch from the 90s. So I believe this one's actually more of like an early 2000s watch. Thanks to Pat for lending this in so I could make this comparison. The inception of this one came around the early 90s in quartz fashion at first, which was featured in an early Bond movie in the 90s with Pierce Brosnan. He had the quartz one in the movie, and then later on in future Bond films, they gave him the automatic one, and that's what you see here today. So at first glance, these watches probably look almost identical, to be honest. I mean, they still have they have the Bond style bracelet. They have the twisted lugs. They have the helium escape valve. Very similar handsets. Very similar seconds hands. Everything here is really similar. They're just some small little upgrades with this ceramic professional that we'll talk about. Understand if it's worth double the price. The ceramic right now here you can get it's a $4,400 retail. So if you walk into a boutique and you pay full price, it'll be $4,400. But you can still get these new on the forums and on places like Joma Shop or Gray Market for under $3,000. On the flip side, this old school, I believe the reference is 2531 or 2351. I can't think of it right now. It's one of those two. You can get these for easily under $2,000 still if you look on eBay or the forums or something like that. I know some people are charging a little bit more, but easily under $2,000 still as of May 2018. Who knows what's going to happen to the price of these now that the new wave dials are out. But this basically has a modified Omega ETA 2892, which is a fantastic tried and true movement, whereas this has the Omega coaxial 2500D movement. So both of them actually have an ETA 2892 base. As far as I understand, the coaxial 2500 is actually an ETA 2892 base with the coaxial escapement fitted in it. And they had different iterations. There was the 2500B, C, and D, and there were small upgrades to the coaxial movement with every new version, but they both pretty much have a similar base. Of course, this one's usually going to be a little bit more accurate, and it is COSC certified as well, as you can see chronometer on the dial, but you also see chronometer on this dial. So it's up to you to decide if the coaxial movement is worth the additional price tag. So let's go ahead, before we kind of get to the dial, let's talk about the bracelet. So they both have the very, very famous Bond bracelet. As you can see, the clasp is a little bit shorter on the new ceramic version, but otherwise they're pretty similar. They both have dive extensions, both have the double push pin deployant, and they both they're both pretty similar in terms of machining with the bracelet. I am kind of shocked, to be quite honest, and you'll get varying opinions on this, but I'm quite shocked that in 2 decades, coming up on 3 decades now actually, that Omega really hasn't updated the bracelet that much. First of all, the fact that they don't already include a glide lock style clasp or some type of micro adjustment on this is pretty ridiculous. In my opinion, the bracelets wear and feel pretty much the same. They're obviously some of the most comfortable bracelets on the planet. I'm just a little shocked that it hasn't changed that much. Really, the only upgrade that you get is the Omega bracelet on the new ceramic one is a little bit thicker. So it feels a little bit more substantial, and you can feel it in the weight as well. It's a little bit heavier. That's also probably due to the movement in some of the materials, but the clasp is a little bit thicker, and the bracelet's a little bit thicker, and it uses screw pins instead of push pins, which is, would be absolutely insane if Omega still used push pins for their new ceramic Seamaster. So bracelets are kind of even, in my opinion. The movement, I definitely think there's an upgrade in the ceramic, but not so much to warrant an almost double the price. But really what I think it comes down to is the actual the dial and the bezel. So as you can see here, this does have the very famous wave dial on the left here, the original Bond bracelet, which is really cool and changes a lot in the light. And this newer one clearly doesn't have that wave dial, but it does have that really inky deep type dial with the lacquer finish. You also get much more applied markers, applied logos, applied date window, rounded off date window in the ceramic, which I think is definitely a big step up and definitely warrants a price increase. And of course you get the indestructible ceramic bezel. Both have very similar bezel action, and you can see the hands have changed a little bit. They've lengthened the minute hand ever so slightly, and I believe the hour hand as well. The second hand remains pretty much identical, but it's really up to you to decide if the dial and the movement upgrade and the slight bracelet upgrade is worth the doubling in price. So guys, let me know what you think in the comments about this comparison. Let me know if you guys think that Omega has not come that far when it comes to the Seamaster Professional in particular 20 years later. Let me know if you've handled both and you actually see a difference. I've talked to a couple people, or several people that have mentioned that it's a big difference. It's like comparing a 5 to a 6-digit Rolex, which is like a pre-ceramic Rolex versus the new ceramic models, and everyone knows that there's a huge difference with those. Or let me know if you think there's really not that much to justify a double or triple price tag for the SmpC ceramic. Anyway, guys, as always, drop me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be trying to come out with these videos much more regularly now that I'm settled into the new apartment. And I will catch you guys in the next one.